Hi and welcome back to the channel. In this quick tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to recover your overexposed photos and underexposed photos. So let's jump into Lightroom. The first photo we're going to fix is an underexposed photo. First, we're going to go to Profile and change Adobe Color to Adobe Neutral. Out of all the profiles, even the camera matching ones, Adobe Neutral will give you the highest amount of dynamic range and also will flatten the photo a little bit. Double click to select, and then we go to masking. Select subject, we wait for it to detect the subject, and we're going to boost the shadows, drop the highlights, and the contrast. And in my case, I can also increase the exposure. Be very careful with this slider because in some situations you can actually overexpose the photo, even though it may be underexposed. So be very careful with this slider. Now the subject looks a little bit too out of context compared to the background. So we're going to create a new select subject mask. Wait for it to load, and we're going to click on invert. Now we're going to boost the shadows just a little bit and drop the contrast and highlights. No exposure this time. Click done, and now you can proceed with your basic adjustments, color grading, and so on. For the second photo, we have a mix of overexposure and underexposure. Parts of the skin, parts of the buildings, and the sky are overexposed. The rest is underexposed. We're going to apply the same techniques. Go to Profile, Adobe Neutral, Masking, select Subject. Click Invert, boost the shadows, drop the highlights, and drop the contrast. In this situation, one mask helped us with the sky. There are situations where the sky might be too overexposed and boosting the shadows might affect it. So in those situations, you might need a separate mask. But in our case, this was sufficient. Now, another select subject mask, boost the shadows, drop the highlights, drop the contrast. Click done, and now proceed with the edit as you wish. For the final image, I chose this super overexposed photo because even though it looks like this, it still can be recovered to some extent and make it look good with some editing afterwards. But when it comes to masking, we will take a different approach. So first things first, Profile, Adobe Neutral, then Masking, and this time we're going to use the Select Sky mask. We're going to drop the exposure, drop the contrast, drop the highlights, increase the shadows. No, let's drop the shadows. Now we're going to create a linear gradient mask. Drag it all the way over and move it up. Drop the exposure, drop the contrast, drop the highlights, and drop the shadows. We're not going to right click and duplicate the mask because we want different values for exposure, contrast, highlights, and shadows. So we're going to create a new one. Again, drag it over, bring it up. This time we're starting with the shadows, highlights next, and we're going to increase the contrast. And only this time we're going to lower the whites just around here. Click done. Now for the last adjustments, we're going to use the basic sliders. Drop the highlights, drop the contrast, drop the blacks a little bit, shadows, and the whites. Now let's check before and after. Let me close out these windows to see better. Obviously, an extreme difference. And that's how you recover an overexposed photo or an underexposed photo. If you found this video helpful, drop a like, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and check out this video. Until next time.